And we are live with Spot Dodge, a live Nintendo podcast where every single week we react to the latest Nintendo news and talk about the games we are playing. I'm Brett Medlock, video producer and host here at Destructoid, and with me today is a great cast of people as usual. We got Mary Stowe, social media manager and host here at Destructoid. How you doing, Mary?
I'm good. How are you?
Great. And then we got John Frisha, indie developer and managing editor over at The Escapist. How you doing, John?
In every moment of life, Brett.
Good. That's what I expect to hear from you. And then we have Greg Vargas, writer at PC Invasion and streamer over at Dynamite Giraffe. How you doing, Gregory?
I'm doing good, man. How are you?
Yeah. See, you're getting better at it. You're getting better at the pregnant pause.
I can feel it in my loins.
That's the most exciting part of the show every time. It's just that little gap of freedom.
I don't know. I like
John.
John is every week is hyped up by your intro, and I feed off of his energy.
It is true. John sort of just gets everyone loose, you know? That doesn't. Okay, let's just move
on. Johnny boy.
Johnny boy. That's what they call him. And Brett Larson is supposed to pop in. He's having problems with his internet connection or with his headphones or something. So I'm sure he'll pop up sooner or later in the next 10, 20 minutes, hopefully. Yeah. Otherwise, it's just going to be a little show with 4 people, just like last week when I wasn't here and you guys had tons of technical problems. What would you do without me? Honestly, I do so much to fix all these technical problems that you just couldn't do it.
You're not about to miss an episode ever again.
But yeah, let's hop on into our first topic, our main topic, which is an article published over at Destructoid called Every Publisher Should Strive for Nintendo's Release Cadence. We have talked about this in the past. Nintendo is just that one company that somehow manages to sit on completed games and just hold on to them and then just, like a trolley la, just okay, we have a little gap here. All right, let's just throw Metroid Prime there. That's finished. What else is? That Fire Emblem game we finished 2 years ago. I guess we'll put this right here. They're the only publisher that can do this, and it's very strange to me. And I'm wondering, does it have to do with the fact that it's less powerful hardware, so no one doesn't have as much expectations when it comes to the graphics, or is it just Nintendo is just the king of the game and they're just killing it in the first party department and the release schedule? So I want to go down the line. First, I'll ask Greg, how do you feel about Nintendo's first party output, and does it impress you? Yeah, you.
Yes. Yes. All about Nintendo. Yes, and the releasing of games. Yes.
If you want to go down the list of this year,
no, I'm just kidding. No, yeah.
Nintendo's a company.
I've always been.
They're a company.
They're a company. Things they do the things. I think as you were, introing this, I was thinking in my head just how unique the company is. Not only to have, first party developed games. But also the hardware that they produce, but also the merchandise that they produce. So I feel like they have several avenues and streams of income that give them the flexibility to kind of harness that power to have different poles in the water, and at any moment they can pull out a big fish and hook it and cook it up for the rest of us to eat. But in comparison to someone like Sony, Sony's has been in the game as a profitable company, but they just don't. I don't know. There's something about the notoriety, the longevity, the install base, the familiarity that you get with Nintendo that you don't often get with Xbox or PlayStation. And I feel that kind of feeds into their ability to pull out an IP from, 1989 and hit it out of the park with some, obscure release, or, re-releasing something like what's the SNES game, Mother? I can't think of the US name. Why am I blanking? Earthbound. Derp. But something, like bring Earthbound to, Switch Online, or, bring a catalog of Nintendo 64 games. I feel that it's like it's almost like a smokescreen. Like it gives them like, oh, hey, don't worry about what we're developing here. Here's some nostalgia games that you loved in your childhood, and they can release those at any moment. And it always feels like a constant flow of games coming. But at the same time, I feel they're very strategic and organized. Something that maybe, having X amount of game studios like Xbox does, if you have so many, I'm sure I don't care how many project managers you have out there. I mean, it's got to be an overwhelming feat to manage that many studios, that many IPs, and that many production schedules.
Well, for comparison's sake, since you brought up Xbox, I was going to hold this off, but I looked it up about a week ago, so this might be off. I didn't do much research, but I'm pretty sure by memory, Xbox has only published and put out 2 games this year, one of which comes out today, and it's already been in early access, so it's not really like a full-blown new thing, which is Grounded. And then earlier this year, they published As Dusk Falls, which was a technically like a third-party studio did that, but Microsoft did fund it. So we got 2 games from Microsoft publication this year, an entire year. Now there might be one more. I could be wrong. Maybe. Either way, when I see this list of Nintendo first-party games put out this year, first-party or published by Nintendo, it's insane. But we will get to that list because I still wanted to get to Mary and John. And Mary, how do you feel about Nintendo's first-party output? Does it impress you? Do you think it's big whoop? Want to fight about it? What do you think?
I think it's pretty impressive, honestly. I think it hits a lot of different like fan bases. Like that's what's felt like really good about this year, especially because I feel like 2020, 2021 felt like very dry years. They just didn't feel as impressive as like we anticipated them to be or wanted them to be. So like seeing the list of just the first party games, I'm like, there's something for everybody. There's Switch Sports, there's Mario Strikers, Kirby Forgotten Land, then you got like Xenoblade Chronicles, Bayonetta 3, Fire Emblem Warriors. Like it's checking a lot of different boxes for a lot of different fans and audiences. And then something that like I don't know if it's still like how do I want to phrase it? I feel like people always underestimate Nintendo because they don't have the powerful hardware. Like even going back to like when I worked at GameStop and it was like the 360, the PS3, the Wii, which I'm showing my age right now. As those were like the 3, I know I'm old. Those were like the 3 big ones. People would just blow the Wii off all the time because they're like, oh, this thing doesn't sell. Like those games don't sell. Those games aren't popular. I'm like, have you looked at actual sales numbers for the Wii? Like,
The Wii
it's
won.
Up there. Yeah.
It like, won the generation, technically.
Yeah, I think if I remember seeing the numbers correctly, I think it outsold almost either it almost did or it did outsell PS3 and Xbox 360 combined. Like it sounds
right.
It sold a ton of units. And so I always wonder if that's still like carrying over even now into like the Nintendo Switch generation of like people just don't see it as like for true gamers, for like the real gamers, But this list though, I love it. I think they're doing great. I think they're showing that they are like to be taken seriously.
Yeah, and what's different about this list that we keep like mysteriously talking about that we haven't actually said the list.
Oh yeah.
Oh, you can't see the list. But
it's great. It's glorious. It's very diverse. And it's actually like aside from a few, like I would say like Splatoon 3 and Mario Strikers maybe, Switch Sports, most of it's like for like the core gamer. It's not for like the Pokemon of course is more casual, but like most of it's aimed towards adults or people who are more into the nitty-gritty of gaming and not necessarily like any casual gamers. Like they have like such a diverse palette of first-party games or even games that they decide to fund or like pay for like a timed exclusivity for. They seem like they know what they're doing, this Nintendo, this 100-year-old company. So yeah, now we still have John to get to.
Oh, I guess he's playing the long game and he's just expecting Nintendo to fold any day now.
Yeah.
But-
See, I told you.
But I also think Nintendo's in a unique position compared to PlayStation and Xbox in the sense that historically, Nintendo, obviously, it wants to sell a ton of consoles, but it also wants to sell those consoles in order to sell its software. So, like, I think a lot of companies, well, obviously, Sony and PlayStation, or I mean, Sony and Xbox, they want their first party titles to sell really well. Nintendo loves for their first party titles to sell well, and they do continuously over time. And if you look at the monthly charts every month, it's usually its own game selling the most. And obviously, third party games are important to strategy and longevity, but Nintendo likes being the king of its own castle. It likes having these major games out, and it wants them to be on top. It wants other games to succeed with it, but it's always got its eye on the prize, which is more money, and it gets the most money selling its own stuff. So Nintendo, even more than the other companies, just loves having its own content, and it loves being in control. And so I think that's part of why there's such this cadence. They feel it's necessary for their strategy to be making money on their own stuff. So I think this is just kind of business as usual for Nintendo in that respect.
Yeah, and I think it's kind of funny because we see all of these publishers and these console manufacturers buying out like publishers or developers. And when Nintendo was asked, like, "Hey, do you have any plans to expand or like start purchasing more studios?" They basically answered like, "No,
Yeah.
we're not doing that. We like what we're doing right now, and we don't have any plans to do anything like that."
Yeah.
Which is kind of crazy when you see all the stuff going on. They're just like, "No, we're okay. Like, we're just gonna keep on doing what we do, and we don't need Call of Duty. We don't need any of these like Activision games or like most EA games. They just don't need them because they're just gonna keep succeeding," which is so crazy considering that we just got off the Wii U life cycle, that like whole 5 years of the
Gosh.
Wii U where no one talked about Nintendo, no one owned a Wii U, and now it's like Nintendo seems too big to fail at this point.
Yeah.
Like that dedicated Nintendo audience just all fell asleep during the Wii U generation, and then they all came back thriving during the Nintendo Switch generation, where they will buy everything. Like, just to put a little perspective on it, The Last of Us Part 2, a extremely, like, I would say quadruple A game with top tier animations and graphics and everything you can imagine that, like, is expensive, sold 10 million units. Animal Crossing, 40 million. Imagine the budget difference between
Right.
those two games. How happy Nintendo was with those numbers, and that's a little like that's one of their like biggest games the past few years, but they still just like Metroid Dread, like a Metroid game in 2022, a 2D Metroid game, wasn't it like the best selling of the whole
Yeah,
franchise?
it hit new
had to have
records for
been,
Metroid.
like,
That's
yeah.
wild. And Prime isn't even out yet. Like Prime's probably going to be huge. Like
Prime 4's, it's
is
being
Nintendo
massive.
like getting to this point where like if they put out a first party game, people are immediately interested. Like they're going to pick it up. Like that's what it seems like to me. The audience seems more hungry than ever for Nintendo games. And as far as like third party games and stuff go on Switch, it seems like they're doing fine as well. Like it's really weird. Like I walked into GameStop, which is weird. This was a few months ago, and this guy was at the GameStop counter, and he was like, "Oh no, I didn't play video games like my whole life until Switch came out, and then I got that, and then I only play Switch. Like I don't play anything else. I just play Switch." And I was like, "Wow, that's so interesting. Like imagine how many people they're like, oh, everyone's talking about this Switch. I'm gonna get a Switch, and then they're just like lifelong gamers on Nintendo's like console." Yeah, it's crazy to think Nintendo's just like came back swinging after the Wii U.
I think my
but
mic is
I'm
muted.
rambling a little bit.
But I think Mary brought up a good point. Like that whole Wii generation, like I think that's what Nintendo does a really good job of is they farm like generations of gamers. Like that whole generation that was playing the Wii is like, because when did it come out? What, 2007?
Christmas time.
6?
Yeah, I think it was.
16?
I think
Yeah,
it was
so they're about
2006.
So they're about like teens now. So I mean, I can think back. That's probably when I gamed the most was when I was in that like I don't know like I think 10 to 15 age range, but now there's at least some, diversity in terms of like, different types of games. Like, Fortnite, I still think is very viable in this day and age, and spans many generations that are playing it. But Nintendo just manages to farm, new generations of gamers of like, I mean, I can't tell you how many videos I've seen on TikTok, Instagram, or whatever, where it's like the dad's like, oh yeah, I told my son I'd buy him a PS5 if he could beat, you know, uh, Super Mario Brothers, the first one, without dying, more than 10 times, or something like that, or if he can get to the last level of Castlevania. But I think it's like a generational thing. It's like Super Mario has spanned from the arcade down to the handheld console, to the Switch, and I don't see there not being a Mario presence and Mario games not selling, and a generation that doesn't get to experience Mario. And not only that, now they're going to be in other physical places where kids can walk up and go to amusement parks and experience that in person. So I just think it's like a generational thing.
No, it's funny that you mentioned that. It's funny to think that a year from now, like Nintendo, I mean, Mario's probably going to be like even bigger than ever potentially between the movie and the Hollywood amusement park.
Yep.
Like,
and probably a new game.
yeah, I mean, it would make sense, yeah. Like, it's just
have
funny to
Breath
think
of the
that, like,
Wild the first
Mario's
half
been
and then
like
Mario
this
the second.
integral part of like all of our lives, and like he's still going to get bigger.
Yeah,
I love
it's
that.
kind of weird to think about.
Like, yeah, like he's going to get more popular from here.
Yeah. Well, and like what Greg was saying, like I see it all the time, especially with like Pokemon. Like Pokemon is something that like I grew up with, the cards, the games, everything. And like now people who are my age are having kids. And I see people doing like they put the 3 starter plushies like in front of like their toddler or their baby.
Yeah.
And it's like my firstborn is about to choose their starter, like I think it's just Bulbasaur, Charmander, Squirtle. So like, but they're already starting like to create that love of Pokemon, which is a Nintendo game. So it's just going to open the doors for like all these other Nintendo Switch games, like once they're old enough to like start playing with their parents.
The cult of Nintendo.
Yes.
The indoctrination begins.
Dude, like I remember thinking back during the Wii U generation and being like, man, like Nintendo's just totally like lacking. Like, what are they doing? Like, I was even thinking in my head, should they just go third party? Like, because like no one cared about the Wii U. They even their release cadence during the Wii U generation, going back to that topic, was not good. All of a sudden when the Switch came out, I'm pretty sure like a lot of the beginning Switch games were originally planned to be Wii U games, and then they're just like, you know what, let's just have a new console and let's just start putting them on this, and it totally worked out, obviously. But then again, they did combine their two audiences into one. We can't, because the 3DS was succeeding the whole time. So technically the Switch is like the sequel to the 3DS and the Wii U, but
Yeah,
I don't know. I feel like they're killing it. But let's go down this list. This first party list of this year, and then what we know about next year. We might be missing a few. I had Eric put this together sort of at the last minute, but let's just go down it. We started off the year with Kirby and the Forgotten Land. What a freaking banger that was. Wow.
yeah.
Then we had Mario Strikers, which was a letdown in a lot of people's eyes. I didn't get it because I heard it was lacking content, and the game is still not fully out yet because they're still releasing all the stuff that should have just been on the game. But then we had Nintendo Switch Sports, 2 sports games in a row. That's kind of interesting. But that was like for the more casual players, and it ended up doing really well, which was surprising. John, do you know any sales figures on that?
Top of my head,
Maybe not.
but yeah, I'll dig into it while we talk.
I can tell.
Okay.
I can tell you one sales figure that cost me $600.
600.
Switch Sports.
Oh, yeah, forgot about that.
My TV.
Oh, yeah, Brett Larson.
That
That's his
was
first time talking on the episode.
Yeah,
that
there
was
we
a
go.
fun sales figure for me. So that game can kiss my ass. No, I'm just kidding.
Brett's
It's actually really
daughter's
fun.
friend threw his Switch remote at his TV because she was playing Nintendo Switch Sports. That's an expensive game right
It
there.
is. And it was a rookie mistake by not having them have the old What do they call it?
The strap on.
Yeah.
Come on, what were you
Song,
thinking?
yeah. That's my rookie mistake.
After
So-
Nintendo Switch Sports, we saw Splatoon 3, which was more recently. People are liking that. I'm not a Splatoon guy. Then we see Xenoblade Chronicles 3. I haven't even finished it. Already probably my game of the year. What a game. What a... To it later. Bayonetta 3 is coming up. Then we have... Oh, wait. This isn't in order, by the way. I just realized. Fire Emblem 3 Hopes already came out. That was really good. And Pokemon Legends was at the beginning of the year. And then we still have Pokemon Scarlet and Violet. Live Alive came out earlier this year. Triangle Strategy. So yeah, what a year that was. That's how many titles? 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. 12 first-party games. And then that's in comparison to like Sony, who probably put out, what, 3? GT7, Horizon, and God of War. And then Xbox put out 2. As Dusk Falls and Grounded. One of which was already an early access game. Like, the comparison between Nintendo, like, look at Nintendo's list, and then Sony and Xbox's. Like, the difference is staggering to me.
You know how much planning probably goes into that? I would love to be a fly on the wall in one of these meetings to just like,
Oh yeah,
I mean, how many years out do you think some of this shit has been planned? Like,
so many.
And
I was
keep
gonna
in
say,
mind... Oh, sorry, go ahead.
I was gonna say earlier, like, I bet some of this is just planned by like their fiscal years. You know, it's like, okay, this year, like, we're looking a little low, but don't worry, we've got like these games that we could just work in to like just keep their numbers nice and consistent, or like to please like their partners or whoever, their investors. You know, like that's what it feels like. Some of it has to be like financial strategy as well.
And let's not forget, just recently, the next Fire Emblem game, Fire Emblem Engage, has already been rated in the UK. I think. Like, doesn't that mean the game is completed and like it's already been like looked over and like all the information on it is done and it's ready to go, packaged up, and done?
Pretty much.
I'm pretty sure that's what it
That's
means.
like the last step, right?
Mm-hmm.
Basically,
So like
yeah.
they're just sitting on that game because they're just like. And also keep in mind there was another first party game supposed to come out this year that they delayed because of the war in the Ukraine.
Land Wars.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And Fire Emblem, that does have a release date. That's coming out this January.
I know.
Yeah,
I'm just saying it seems
yeah.
very early to have the rating already done. You know.
Yeah. Well, I mean, yeah, like the leaks prior said the game had like basically been finished for a while already. So, yep.
Yeah. So yeah, that's the one big topic I wanted to go over tonight. And of course, we still have 2023, lots to look forward to. Fire Emblem Engage. Me and Mary are going to talk so much about that game. Get ready, because
So excited.
it's going to be a
can't
big
wait.
one. And then we
Yeah.
got Kirby Return to Dreamland, the port of the Wii game. Hopefully it has a harder difficulty mode. Those games are ridiculously easy. Pikmin 4, a long-awaited sequel. And of course, the big one of them all, Tears of the Kingdom. And then also
Everyone's
Blanc for
talking
Brett.
about that
It's a
Oh yeah,
console exclusive.
that's right.
Oh yeah.
I keep
Blanc.
forgetting about that
But
game,
that's
so we
Gearbox.
bring it up on the podcast, and it's totally going to be a game for me.
Definitely. All right, guys, let's hop on into the Nintendo news, which is not much. We got 3 topics of interest tonight, and then we're going to hop into what we're playing. So first off, a brand new Silent Hill game has been rated, which is very interesting. John, did you ever write a story about this? You want to do this one?
I did not write about it, but there's
Okay.
been a new Silent Hill.
Yeah, Silent Hill, the short message, has been rated in
Yeah.
Korea.
In Korea.
Strange place for it to be.
Yeah.
rated.
Well, actually, it's like a semi-common place for that to like first leak out. Like for some reason, like Korea is sometimes one of the first.
I'm just wondering, is this like a mobile game? Because it's called.
Please
The
tell
title
me.
does not come off being
Please
like a
don't.
console game.
That's what I
Silent
saw.
Hill, the
I
short
saw like
message.
a theory that it was gonna be like a mobile game. And I was like,
swear.
why would you do scary game on like a screen this big though? I don't know.
Maybe
If
it's
we
a
wait all
VR
this
game.
time.
What?
It's
It
like
could be that.
Pokemon Go, but for Silent Hill. Everywhere you go is just hell
When you,
now.
when you look up, there's dead body parts in front of you.
Yeah.
Yep. You're basically just like running for your life in real life.
I guess
Yeah.
it could be a
know-
VR game too, potentially.
Slot machine game.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now that we've joked about it, though, I kind of think that's not the worst idea. Silent Hill AR game. Like,
That's not
I
the
mean,
best.
it could be like, yeah, it'd be like you walk through your own house, get creeped
Yeah,
out
like,
by shit
if-
that's
What
not
if you
there.
had to
Yeah,
play
like
that?
you
Well,
have to play it in the
yeah,
dark.
I'll make it better.
I think,
Like,
I think
Dude,
that would be kind of the whole
that'd be pretty
point.
sick. I would
Like-
play that.
Like,
all right.
like, what if the game told you, "Do you have a basement? Okay, go in your basement. Let's play a game." Like that would be scary as shit, right there.
in the Jigsaw voice. Yeah, let's play a game.
Playing a game.
Well, like,
That would
I
be
mean,
cool.
all right.
Like, come on.
Yeah, so I mean, obviously, like, all right, so I grew up kind of when the internet was just getting started. Like, I got my first computer when I was in like 7th or 8th grade, I think, and we got the internet a couple years after that. And so I remember like my early childhood, I just spent a lot of time bored because that's what you did as a kid before technology like kept you glued in like every second of your life. You'd spend time being bored. And if I had a game that could like turn my house into like a ghost murder house, that would be a fun way to pass the time.
John, your house is already a murder house. What are you talking about?
You see the dead bodies behind you, John. Okay, you don't have to hide
You'll
it
have
anymore.
to prove it.
But yeah, I mean that'd be cool. But also, VR wasn't a bad idea either. Maybe this is gonna be in like a launch PlayStation VR 2 game. I can picture
I
that.
can dig it.
Man, I just feel like we've been so burned by Silent Hill rumors ever since PT and Silent Hills, and there's been so many rumors since then, and like nothing ever formulates. And I know there's
Bloober.
stuff happening.
Yeah.
Supposedly,
Bloober.
the Bloober thing is real,
Yeah.
but we haven't seen anything. We've seen screenshots. We don't know what the hell
Actually,
that
one of the
means.
biggest
You know what I mean? Like,
leakers who was saying Silent Hill all these years was the guy who ended up just being like that YouTuber,
That
and
Dan-
he ended up coming out and saying in his video, "I just said that. I don't really know."
Yeah.
the Dan Allen guy.
Hate that.
Well,
Yeah, the Dan Allen
Dan
gaming
Dan
guy.
Allen gamer. Oh man.
That-
Well,
In his
Then again,
apology
like,
video,
that's
he said it's just like a guess. That's what he was saying.
It's everybody's fault for
what?
believing him.
well, that
He sounds like a pretty swell guy.
that leaker.
Let's have him on the show.
Dusk Golem has been talking about Silent Hill on and off for a few years. So, and Video Game Chronicles reported on it. Gamatsu's reported on it. Like somewhere in all of these stories, like something has to be.
And you
I
know
really
who's
could.
behind
So, like-
Dusk Golem? Dan Allen
The
Gaming.
YouTuber.
Oh no! Don't go there. Don't go
No,
there. I really
No,
believe the. I
heck
really
if I
believe.
know, but
I really believe the Bloober one. It just makes sense. Like not only because
I hope
not only
it's
because
real.
they do
there's a
spooky
lot
games.
of circumstantial evidence there.
Yeah, and then
Well, and they're literally working with like the team that's like involved with Silent Hill and stuff.
right.
So
And,
Yeah.
and not only
Yeah.
because
And didn't
they're
like the sound designer say he was working on something? Like-
yeah, like, and then he kind of
Or no-
retracted it.
But didn't
Yeah.
the composer of the Medium? Wasn't he the Silent Hill guy? Maybe that's how that connection happened or
Maybe,
something.
yeah,
I don't know.
I really don't follow horror games that much, so I don't want to
Yeah.
spread misinformation here, but
Yeah, you're right.
but no, yeah, like no, the reports have claimed that there's like minimum 2, potentially more than that Silent Hill games in development. So one at Bloober, one at some mystery Japanese studio, and then potentially more projects where that came
Nice.
Yeah, which is so
from. And
odd.
Gamatsu, it's well, yeah.
Oh, go ahead. John.
Well, I was just gonna say that, like, this was like upwards of like a year ago now. Gamatsu exclusively said, like, in like really casually, like, "Oh yeah, we have a source. It's Kojima Productions. They're the studio making that Silent Hill." It's like, oh,
Oh yeah.
okay. And
remember that.
nobody's ever corroborated that since. But Gamatsu's one guy. His name's Sal Romano, and he doesn't make crap up. So like, the fact that he like felt confident in just dumping that into the world, like, I accept that with like an air of
And I never hear
legitimacy,
people
so.
talking about it. Like that's
Yeah.
strange.
Yeah,
He
yeah.
Is legit. Like you're
The
saying.
other websites like Video Games Chronicles, who have their own reports, they've never once referenced Sal's report about Kojima. Like they've never once whispered about Kojima being the guy behind this. But that'd be wild if it is.
Yeah.
that'd be nuts. Because he would have to go back and work with Kojima or
He'd have to work with himself, his own worst enemy.
They would have he would have to work something out
Yeah.
with Konami to be able to work on that property again. And they left on awful terms, so that would be pretty fascinating.
Well, that's what, like, another like fascinating wrinkle to the story. So yet another one of the reports. This is one of the oldest reports, I guess, compared to the others. Was so there's this horror news website, Rely on Horror, and they've actually they've struck gold on occasion with some of their horror news reports. And yeah, one of them, which even they acknowledged at the time, they felt was really outlandish, was they had a report that allegedly PlayStation was patching things up between Konami and Kojima to make something happen. And like the fact that like then like I don't know, half a year later, then Gamatsu reports that like, oh yeah, Kojima's making Silent Hill. It's like, what? Like maybe this crazy ass report was actually true. Like, who knows?
It
Kojima
was all
Studios,
true.
PlayStation first party studios, confirmed.
It
John
was all
confirmed
true
it.
until Jim Lion crying Ryan showed up. He says, "This isn't Call of Duty. I don't care about this."
Yep, it's all gone now.
It's just sad because like the IP itself, Silent Hill, is like I always held it, with on the same level as like Resident Evil. Like those were like the top tier, like survival horror, the like the like the horror experiences, from movies in video games because they did it so well. And it's like it's sad that like, again, talking about generations of gamers, they've like missed out on on like the I don't know, other than the okay to mediocre movies, like they really missed out on the experience that is Silent Hill.
Well, that didn't. I
They
mean,
need to
there's several things that Konami is like, I guess in a way hoarding. I don't think they're hoarding it because they're not keeping it from people. But like, dude, Metal Gear is one of my most beloved franchises ever, and it's just like they're just sitting on this gold mine. I love Metal Gear so much. And then there's like what, Super Bomberman. They've got Castlevania. Like they've got to eventually emerge again. And I've heard one of the podcasts I listened to, the guy talks about how he feels like they're going to be coming back soon. That would be cool because they've got a few different franchises that I think would be amazing to get back in video games.
It's one of the few times a bunch of franchises have been gone long enough that anything of them coming back in a AAA fashion is going to get a lot of eyes on it, like without a doubt. If Silent Hill comes back and it looks like Resident Evil 2 remake, people are going to be like, "Holy crap!"
Or if Metal. Sorry, Mary, go ahead.
Yeah,
I was gonna say, have they ever done like a remaster collection of Silent Hill games? Like I know they've done like Castlevania collections, but I'm trying to remember if they've ever done like
360.
They did an
That was
HD
so long
remaster
ago.
of I think 2 and 3, but
Okay.
it was like some weird situation where they didn't have like the original files they needed, and so like 2 ended up looking like hideous.
There's some
It was
really
like
funny
some bad
comparisons.
situation.
There's like
Yeah.
these, if you see like these side by side comparisons in the original like Silent Hill 2, like it'll have like this like scary looking sign that has like this certain font, and then in the remaster it's literally Comic Sans. The font is on like this
God,
on this scary looking
true horror Comic Sans.
so funny.
I guess that's like a meta horror, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. No, I just couldn't remember that. So I was like, even if they did that, like people, I mean, like I have friends who love Silent Hill, and it's hard to get your hands on those games, especially with like retro game prices skyrocketing every day. Like people would probably pay and play
Thanks
remasters.
to the power of Xbox backwards compatibility, you can play Silent Hill 1 and 2 right now on your Series X console. Okay, that's my one plug for Xbox tonight.
No,
Brad.
it is.
That's
not going
right?
to be your one. Let's be honest.
You got a little
That's one of 3 or 4 more.
Grounded out
Xbox
today
is
on
on your chin.
Xbox Game Pass. Brad, I actually do want to play Grounded with you though.
No, I will play that for sure. It looks fun.
Hopefully
Honey, I
his
Shrunk
mic
the
works.
Kids in the backyard.
Yep,
Absolutely.
by Obsidian. They never fail us. But yeah, was there anything else about Silent Hill you guys wanted to talk about, or should we move on to the next topic? All right then.
Good.
It's not. It's not that exciting. I feel like Brett's the only one who would care. Oxenfree 2 has been delayed to 2023. Brett, did you say you played the original?
Oh, Oxenfree is one of my favorite games of PS4 generation. This, I gotta say, this one hit me hard. I didn't find this out until today. In like Oxenfree, I'm surprised you don't remember me talking about this a lot, Brett.
I feel like I remember.
I love that first game.
Sleva.
Yeah, exactly. We did. We talked about it on that call with him. Oxenfree, and actually, the reason I brought it up with him is I remember, like, what was like 2015 when it released for 2016. I kept hearing him talk about it on a podcast he was on, and so I was like, "Oh fuck it, I'll give it a try." And I got it one weekend, and dude, I just was glued to it until I finished. And it's like a 5-hour or 6-hour game. And like I put it in after work one night and did not stop till like 4 a.m. until I was done. It was such a fun experience. And like,
how did you play that?
Yeah, it's like it's almost like it's a really atmospheric. It's almost kind of like has like a creepy feel to it.
How long is it?
It's like these kids trying to like 5 or 6 hours. I think on how long to beat it's like 4 or 5, but I always take a little bit longer. But it's like really mysterious, supernatural stuff. It's a little bit of like a point and click, but not really because I'm not into point and click stuff. So don't be turned off by that. But in a way, it kind of is. But man, I'm telling you, like I loved that game so much. So when I found this out today, I was pretty bummed out.
Yeah. And is anyone else familiar with the first game? It was like critically praised.
Yeah.
I just never got around
to it.
I'll take a sip from my haterade right now.
Oh, he hated it.
Oh,
Oh, you didn't like it?
No. Here's the thing. Like honestly, it's not really my kind of game in the first place.
It's
Like
gotta
I
be
don't,
your thing.
I don't like. I'm trying to think of like a non-stupid way to phrase this. Like characters in their early 20s or whatever, and like they're talking like all cool and hip. And they're like making fun of each other, and then they're like, "Hey, let's go get high," and stuff like that. Like, I don't care about any of this nonsense. And I played it because I was part of a press event, hands-off preview for the sequel, the first one, to see what this second game is. And I played for like I don't know, maybe an hour or something, and I was just bored to death and absolutely hated it.
That was the first question I was going to ask.
Polarizing.
No, that's the reason I was going to ask. And I can't expect you to go back and finish it now, but I kind of felt that way as well. I was like, okay, it's like these kids in like high school that are getting together on the beach and giving each other shit and like their little inside jokes and stuff. But then all of a sudden it takes a total turn and it's way different than that. So like once you get to that point where it takes a turn, it's so good.
I did get into some of the supernatural parts, just I didn't care.
I didn't do it for you. Yeah.
Spoilers.
Well, I mean, you know that right off the get-go. That's what it is.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
yeah.
But
All right,
yeah,
let's talk about the final news topic of today, which is we are going to be getting a trailer for the Super Mario movie on October 6th at 4 p.m. Eastern Time during New York Comic-Con, and the film will be releasing on April 7th, 2023. Is anyone excited or semi-interested in the Super Mario movie? Let's start with Mary.
I just want to hear the voices. Like, I don't
Me
know.
too. That's all I want to know.
I don't care about the movie. Just the
Yeah, it's
voices.
like I don't know quite yet if I care enough about the movie to like make the effort to go to a theater and like see it. Maybe if I can like gather like a group of friends and we just kind of make it like a friend outing, then I'll consider it. But I just want to hear what Chris Pratt as Mario is going to sound like. Is it going to be good? Is it going to be atrocious? Like, it's going to sound weird, though, because Mario's always had this, like, iconic voice actor, and it's not him.
I don't know, like, I hate that he's not going to have, like, an Italian accent. Like, they could have just had him have an Italian accent. If they care about, like, the race, like, all that stuff, just hire an Italian voice actor. Why are we gonna have Mario sounding like a generic white guy?
I'll
Well,
tell
I mean,
you.
I assume.
It's like, and we haven't even seen the animation style yet, have we? Like, we've seen
Yeah,
nothing.
nothing.
I've seen
Like,
nothing. Yeah.
yeah, like, what's it gonna look like?
That's my thing. Fuck the voice. I want to see what it's gonna look like. Like, you know?
Mm.
Like,
Yeah, like
another
what if it
Son-
comes out
Sonic
looking
movie.
like the first trailer for Sonic?
Exactly what I was thinking. Like, that was a disaster. Like, what if this is another one? But I'll tell you what I think the voice is gonna sound like. It's gonna sound like a bad Borat. It's me, Mario. Very nice.
I don't.
Very nice.
I don't think
Luigi.
they're doing it.
I know.
I think
I don't know.
Chris
That
Pratt.
kind of sounded like
has-
Mario.
Very
I
nice.
think it's gonna
Luigi.
be like a half
I like.
a half like falsetto voice from Chris Pratt, like kind of high, but not like this, not like Mickey Mouse, but like in the middle somewhere. Like, you know what I mean? But yeah, I don't know, because he's done so much animation stuff already. Then, so I don't
He
know.
just kind of uses his voice, doesn't he? Like, he
Right.
doesn't really.
Yeah.
He's not. He doesn't have the range of people who do. Like, I'm not trying to like
Voice
talk
acting.
bad about him as like a voice actor or anything, but like there are people in voice acting who that is all they have done.
Right.
So they have developed a range
Right.
that they're able to do. Like, there's some characters I'm like, who's this voice actor? You know, and I look it up and I'm like, oh, they did this character and they sound completely different. So I just think it's just gonna sound like Chris Pratt talking.
He's always the like chubby, likable bro. That's like
Yeah,
all his
like,
he
just
did
uses
really
his
great
voice
in
Not
the
well.
chubby
Lego
anymore.
movie.
Yeah,
The Lego movie he was really good in, so I have a little bit of faith in him when it comes to Mario.
The Lego movie's
I don't
not
know. I
Mario.
can't picture it. I feel like nobody can actually picture Chris Pratt doing a Mario voice. Like,
No.
yeah. Mm-mm.
I mean, I don't know.
So
I-
why is he not doing an Italian voice? Or are they worried it's going
I
to be
was gonna say,
offensive
do
to
we know for
Italian
sure that
people?
there'll be no Italian accent at all?
I thought they said that. Let me look
Oh,
it up.
And
This
so,
is like,
like,
the point of contention.
I-
is he
but
doing
yeah,
an
it's
Italian
like,
accent
how
or not?
Italian is he?
We need to know.
Are they worried they're going to offend people that are Italian? Like, my wife's Italian. I can promise you she wouldn't be offended by Chris Pratt doing an Italian
Well,
voice.
Okay, apparently
this-
they are doing some form of an Italian accent, because
I-
this says
I thought
Chris
the
Pratt's
lady claimed that.
Chris Pratt's Italian accent from the upcoming Mario film will not be offensive, says producer Chris Meledandri. I don't know.
Be
Yeah,
offensive
something
about
like- yeah.
it.
Well, I remember his quote saying how like yeah, like it won't offend Italian Americans, even though Chris Pratt's not Italian American, but the CEO is
my
Italian and he thinks it's great and he thinks it's gonna be okay, and yeah, I'm not sweating it too much. The half of me that's
I could
Italian
have
will probably
sworn I
accept
saw
it.
some. I could have sworn that I remember seeing like. Oh wait, see now this report. Wait, Chris Pratt won't be doing an Italian accent in the Mario movie. From
I don't know, man.
I think Game
I don't
Informer.
know.
Like, I don't know. I guess we'll have to see.
Find out in like a
Is
week
Charles-
or so.
Is Charles,
Yes,
is Charles
the world
Martinet,
waits with
is Charles
bated
Martinet
breath.
Italian?
No,
How come he gets
This-
a pass?
He's
I don't know.
universally beloved.
yeah.
It just works.
I don't
don't
think that it should matter if you have an accent and
Well,
you're
then why are
playing
we
a voice.
pressing
To
Chris
be
Pratt
honest.
then?
I think it's just,
Because
is
we
it going to be a
can.
good accent? Can he
Yeah,
do
that's
it
what I'm-
good?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't care if he does an accent or not, but it's just like, I want it to sound good, you
Look at that
know?
matches. You can believe that being Mario. I think that's the main
Yeah.
thing. But why? My thing is, why is this such like a polarizing thing? Chris Pratt being Mario. I've never
Twitter
understood why it's
Chris
become
Pratt,
such a
Brett.
joke.
That's the problem.
But
Well,
why? I don't get it.
Well,
Like, he's
part of
every
it's
girl I've
ju-
ever seen him, and he knocks it out of the park. You know. So why is this like
Yeah.
such a meme?
Twitter, Brett. Twitter.
Well, Twitter, yeah, but also like there's kind of this issue with like them taking just Hollywood, like big name Hollywood stars and just shoving them into voice acting roles where
Sure,
kind of like what
yeah.
I was saying, whenever there
Yeah.
are voice actors who do very like that's their
Okay.
life work is voice acting. So it just feels kind of like it feels more like a money grab than it does we're trying to choose the best person for this role. It's like we're just going to grab the hottest names right now, throw them in these iconic roles, and pay them millions of dollars when they let's face it, some of the voice actors probably wouldn't have made half as much money as these people are making for these roles. Like there's
Exactly.
it's just
No,
a
no,
lot
it's
of
time, then
close.
you get but then you get Troy Baker and everything though when
Right.
it's solely
Yeah.
voice actors from the Voice Actors Guild. So
yeah.
I think there's got to be something else out there. Like, I mean, I can't tell you how many voice acting coaches or voice actors or aspiring voice actors that I've seen on social media.
I gotta say, I'm with Mary on this one because Final Fantasy VII Remake. Let's get into it. They decided, you know what? Even though these people recorded their
Ding,
lines,
ding, ding. Eric, we need the bell.
even though the original cast, the people that the actors and the voices that people have memories with, the characters they know, even though some of them have already done their lines for the game, let's replace them with CW stars. That's something that everyone would be interested in. That'll get all the casual gamers and casual people to come play a JRPG. That's how we're gonna do it. I hate it. I hate it. I hate it. And what are they going to do with Crisis Core? They bring in the CW stars, replacing the old audio with the CW stars. They're really doing that. Like, I can't believe they're really doing that. And it bothers me. And I feel like they should have just kept the old voice actors. They should have kept them for remake. They wouldn't even have to redo all of Crisis Core, but they had to change them in remake. And when you listen to them side by side, you can obviously tell someone's a professional voice actor and someone's on the CW. And one of them's not good, which is the CW people. But that said, the guy that plays Sephiroth, I thought he did pretty good.
Well, there you go.
But still, I just...
Are you saying Sarah Michelle Gellar wouldn't be a good voice actor for Princess
Oh, I
Peach?
just
Is
threw
that
up a
what
little
you're
bit in my
trying to say?
But yeah, this happens time and time again. It's just getting worse. It's either we need a celebrity to get more eyes on the game, or we don't want to spend as much money on these voice actors who are getting more popular. So let's just hire someone cheaper. Capcom, that's what they do.
I want to know who was like, "Oh man, we gotta get Seth Rogen for Donkey Kong. That's how we're making our money, people."
I don't.
Maybe he's like a Vin
like
Diesel
Seth
like
Rogen,
Groot
but-
character where he just like that's his line.
To me, it
Greg
almost
reminded me though. Back to what Brett said. I agree with Brett. He was saying there's all these voice actors. If you look at the cast of Guardians of the Galaxy, the video game, all of them, all of their history on IMDb, they've all barely done anything. That was like one of their first major roles. And they all knocked it out of the park. Every single cast member of that game did fantastic, especially Drax, who was
amazing.
Who's apparently like a mocap guy. He's not even really a voice actor until now. And that performance was amazing. Drax, absolutely amazing.
That's funny because
And
I can hear his voice in my head. It's that memorable.
It's so good. And that kind of stuff
Yeah.
can't happen when you're constantly hiring either CW stars or the same 12 voice actors in every single
The
game.
same
We
thing
need to lay
happened
off
with
They're trying.
I would say
They're trying.
the same thing happened with Hellblade. If I remember right. It was just like the actors, the mocap for Senua, and then they just fell in love with her performance. That they were like, "We want you to
She's
be her
amazing.
voice as well." Like, yeah, if you haven't played that game,
Awesome.
play it. It is 10 out of 10, and I'm so excited for the second
Yeah,
one.
she was just the stand-in, and she's a video editor for Ninja Theory. She like edits together their trailers and stuff, but then she ended up becoming the main character of the game.
So random.
Yeah.
I was supposed to interview her, and then she never responded to my email. She was like, "Yeah, I would love to do that."
Right.
I was like, "Oh my god!" And then she never responded.
Too popular.
It almost makes me feel like Hollywood doesn't believe in the video game properties that they're going to sell without a big name being attached to it. You know, like having a Chris Pratt be Mario, or like, to be honest, even the Uncharted movie I thought was fine. I thought Tom Holland was the worst choice in the entire world for Nathan Drake, and I love Tom Holland. But it's like it's like Hollywood doesn't believe that they can make a good enough movie and put people in the seats unless they have Spidey playing Nathan Drake, which is like the worst possible person you could have picked.
But see,
you know what I mean? So it's almost like
to me in my head, it was Nintendo's doing to put Chris Pratt in this role in order to sell
could see
tickets.
that.
I don't feel like it was Hollywood's decision.
Dude, you know who would have been
could believe
perfect for Nathan Drake? That dude,
the guy that
from
did the fan
show
film.
Upload. No, he's just too
That's
old.
true. They were doing it younger.
Have you guys seen that show Upload
Yeah,
on
right.
Amazon Prime?
No.
It's
I know
Stephen.
of it, but-
You know what I mean? That guy. I forgot his name. But you guys know who Stephen Amell is from the CW. You know what I mean? How many times is the CW going to come up on this show?
Oh yeah. He was in like he was one of the bad guys in one of the like the
CW
babysitter
shows.
horror movie.
Oh yeah, the babysitter. Yeah, he was in that.
Yeah, I fucking love that movie. That movie's great.
I saw it once. It's pretty fun. But yeah, that guy,
Fun.
he's got the perfect look for Nathan Drake. Brett, you're gonna have to
Oh
look him
wow,
up
you're
later.
right.
You're gonna be mad.
Yeah,
whenever you
Robbie
see it.
Amell.
What?
Robbie
Oh, yeah.
Amell. That's what it is.
Yeah.
That is Nathan Drake right
The
there.
picture I'm seeing, yeah, that's pretty close.
Like, come on, and he's a
Canadian
known
actor? Oh,
big
yeah.
actor. He's in a bunch of good like big stuff. So I'm surprised he wasn't the choice.
He almost kind of looks like Nolan North a little bit too, who's the voice actor of Nathan Drake.
Yeah, honestly,
A little bit, like a younger Nolan
like I've said in the
North.
past, I would have loved a Uncharted movie with Nolan North playing Nathan Drake as like
Yeah,
a
that'd be
retired,
amazing.
treasure hunter, and his daughter gets into some type of chaos because she's just like him, and he has to go and like save her basically, and it's like he's in like half the movie. I don't know. I think that would be
Alternative-
Robbie Amell even wears his hair.
Right, yeah.
He even wears his hair like Nathan Drake, like the flip up in the
exactly
front.
like Nathan Drake.
Now,
That's
alternatively, they could have done this exact movie that they did, but they just replace the kid with Nolan North anyway, and just not reference his age at all.
Yeah,
Yeah.
not at all.
Wow, this
Him
plucky
and
young kid who's
Mark
like kind of like
Wahlberg.
limping through the scenes, like
Yeah. Mark Wahlberg's like, he's just a kid. the camera just shows Nolan North.
Yeah, Nolan North is 51. I just looked it up.
Mark Wahlberg's probably like a year
Young
older.
buck.
Let's see. Mark Wahlberg is 51. There you go.
Oh my, so yeah, that would have been perfect.
shit.
He
Nolan
just
North
like
has a
treats him like
birthday
a
next
kid
month.
the whole movie. He's like, once you're older, you'll understand.
Man, we should be making all these movies. They'd be so rich.
Yeah,
We've had
for
all these
sure.
good ideas tonight.
Right.
Honestly, I feel like Uncharted probably did well because people have no idea what the game franchise is. They just see Mark Wahlberg and Tom
Yeah.
Holland, and then they're like, "Oh shit, there's a new movie with them." All right,
Yeah.
go check it out.
Potentially.
Yeah,
Yeah.
unfortunately.
All right, and by the way, I forgot to mention at the top, I'm coming off of a cold, so my voice sounds like all scraggly and
I
weird. So
Figured, but I
just-
forgot to ask.
yeah, I sound weird, and I'm sniffling a
Yeah,
bit.
you sound
But
the same to me.
oh, okay. Let's hop on into what we're playing. We'll start off with Mary, who's playing through Fire Emblem Fates, Xenoblade Chronicles, and Mass Effect. Tell us all about
Yeah,
it.
so I'm continuing my Fire Emblem obsession. I'm doing Fire Emblem Fates Birthright at the moment. I think I'm at like chapter 12, so I'm getting pretty far into it, but like I was talking to my also Fire Emblem fans, and I was like, I think the character designs and like just the art style that is in Fates is probably my favorite. I want to see it come back, and like Fates and Echoes, like the characters are just beautiful. The art's just gorgeous, and they're 3DS games, and I feel like not enough people probably play them, but
Yeah.
they're so good. Xenoblade Chronicles, I don't think I've gotten to play since last week, but I hit a pretty huge story point. And once again, like I'm just in like shock of like I thought I knew where this was going and now I don't.
Do you know what chapter you're in? That's okay. I won't remember where
No,
it is
yeah.
anyway. Yeah.
Yeah.
I have like a couple ideas of where I think you might be.
Okay. And then Mass Effect, I don't know what possessed me. I just decided I have to restart the Mass Effect trilogy again, only this time I'm going for achievements and I'm going for the insanity ones. So
Jesus.
wish me luck.
What does that entail exactly?
So
those
there's a
achievements?
set of 3 achievements. You have to beat all 3 games on Insanity, which is the hardest difficulty, without changing the difficulty setting.
The interesting
Um,
part about doing that is it basically turns Mass Effect into more of like a strategy game, and it's not really a third-person shooter anymore because you're utilizing all your teammates on the battlefield.
Mhm.
Whereas
Yeah,
on
you have to
normal, you can just play it like a third-person shooter. But
Yeah, and I think I've done hard or veteran before, so I have kind of like upped it a bit. And it was funny because in the beginning I was like playing, I was like really chill. I was like, I don't see like the insanity level, and I finally get off the Citadel in the beginning of one, and I encounter like just bandits or mercenaries or whatever, and I was like, oh. There's the difficulty spike. I was like, all right.
Like, all right, we taught her the basics.
I can't just run
throw her
around.
in.
Yep. So I was like, all right, gotta be a little more strategic, like you said with this. So yeah, that's what I'm playing.
Back when the Mass Effect trilogy like remasters came out, I played through Mass Effect 1, absolutely amazing, and then I started 2, but then I just sort of fell off because it's like, I've been there, done that multiple times, but I want to get back to Mass Effect 2 and finish that playthrough because I had never played all the DLC before, so I want to do that. But man, what a trilogy! And Mass Effect 1, that remaster just it was so awesome. Like,
it's so good, and like I remember playing it for the first time, and like it's one of those games where it's like this is how like I remember it in my brain, even though I have the 360 version and it looks nothing like the remaster, but it's like, but that's how I remember it, that's how it looked. Like I filled in the gaps, and it just looks great. It got the makeover it deserved.
It genuinely looks good. Like those open world environments, like Mass Effect 2 and 3 don't really do that. Like Mass Effect 1 was way more ambitious, especially since it was the first one, and it has these massive open planets, and they actually look good now in that remaster. So, and I would challenge anyone to go play Mass Effect 1 on PS3. 360 is pretty bad too, but PS3 runs so bad that I cannot believe it was even allowed to come out. And if something like that would come out nowadays, the internet would explode. It's the worst gameplay I've almost ever experienced in my life. But and what was the last on your list? Oh yeah, and that was long. Yeah. John's playing through Judgment, finally continuing his Yakuza run.
Yeah.
John, what do you think?
Where'd you hear about this?
It's wild to return to Kamurocho after this long period of 2 months or something.
I think it's been like 6 months, to be honest.
No, I finished Yakuza 6 like no later than like June or something. I don't know, but
okay.
Yeah, so I'm back in the city, baby. I'm liking it a lot. Like it's funny. I've put in like I think I'm like 22 hours in, and I'm only actually like maybe around 40% of the way into the game altogether. But the story is just it sets up murder mystery on top of murder mystery. Like you're busy trying to solve a murder, and then there's like 2 more murders, and you're like, oh man, who murdered them? But like it's all gonna connect together in the end.
Trying to figure it all out.
Another dead guy.
Yeah. So you play.
Who murdered the guy who was trying to solve a murder for?
Exactly. So you play as a detective who before that was a lawyer, and the big dark thing that happened to him was that he got a guy off for murder, and in the Japanese legal system that's unheard of because the conviction rate is like a crazy 99%. And it's not because they're really good at justice, it's because they can hold people without what's the word? I think like officially charging them with a crime. Like well, I think they're given I forget how long. It might be like again, fact check me on this, but it might be like they can go like 2 weeks or something like that without actually charging them. And so they don't even take them to like the police station to do it. They'll take them to like a hotel, like off the books, and just grill you like a psycho until
you can't see their lawyer or anything like that.
Yeah, so they just drill them out of their minds until they give a false confession. That's part of their 99% conviction rate.
That is insane.
Yeah, it's horrible. And honestly, that was me going off on a tangent. They don't mention a lot of that in the game. They just say the 99% conviction rate, and they don't go any further than that. But if you were wondering, that's the reason for it. But yeah, so in the game, but the backstory is your guy gets a guy off for murder, and he really believes he didn't do it. And then like I don't know, like a week later, he's his house burns down and his girlfriend's been like butchered to pieces, the guy that was acquitted of murder. And so Excuse me. So your lawyer dude is like, oh man, how could I defend this dude who turned out to be a crazy psycho guy? And so he quits the law because he doesn't want to do that anymore. And so now you're this detective guy on the streets who's broke because he's not making lawyer money anymore. And it's
sounds like something in the Yakuza universe.
Yeah. Oh yeah, and the gameplay is good too. But
Yeah.
That's awesome.
I love stories.
It has combat like the classic
Right,
Yakuza combat,
yeah,
right?
and I think to my taste anyway, because I'm so used to the rest of the series now, I think it's a little bit weirder. Like you can like run and jump off of walls to do like more acrobatic attacks and stuff, but I haven't really bothered because the best strategy is still to just pick up a bicycle and beat the shit out of everybody. Like pick up
like
a
real
bicycle
life.
is always the best strategy. Yeah. So, but I'm still really enjoying that.
What is the combat like? Is it more like free flowing, or is it kind of like janky, or what is it? I haven't seen much on the
janky.
combat.
It's basically just like 3D brawler combat. And you keep accumulating points in like a kind of RPG-ish fashion, and you can keep spending them to unlock like new abilities or like expand your health, and you can get like extra perks for like random stuff, like making it easier to pilot your drone because there's a lot of investigation stuff in this game to make it more unique than a regular Yakuza. So you can like fly around a drone to take pictures of stuff.
That's cool.
Or find cats. There's a hidden cat in every investigation scene, which is hilarious.
Oh,
like,
really?
It doesn't have anything to do with anything.
Cool.
Yeah. So like, there's like pressure in every investigation because you will hear a cat meowing and it doesn't stop meowing until you find it.
I
You
love
don't have
that.
to. Yeah. It's funny. You don't have to find the cat. It's just like you feel like an idiot if you don't because you can't ignore the meowing cat. You gotta find it.
It's like an OCD thing at this point. Like you just gotta find it.
Yeah, like I've been really good about finding it on my own, but one time it was just too ridiculous that I couldn't find it, so I looked up the solution because like I'm not gonna not find the cat. That's not possible.
Yeah.
Like we're not proceeding without the cat. But yeah. So Judgment is really, really good. I'm looking forward to jumping to Lost Judgment after that. And one more game I wanted to plug real quick. This is an indie that I'd never heard of in my life. I'm sure nobody watching has heard of it, or if you have, good for you. You're really with it. It's a game called, I think, Europa, like Youropa, I think. And it's not out to the public yet. I'm like kind of sort of reviewing it if I finish playing it in time. But I got this email from the dev team saying that they've been working on this game for like 15 years. So this has to be just like some super passion project among friends or something. And it's like Super Mario Galaxy, but like much more puzzle.
Dude, I got a code for this. It looked really interesting.
Yeah,
actually.
yeah. I activated my code.
But I sent you.
Oh, that's
trailer.
the one. Yeah, that's the one he sent me a trailer for.
Yeah,
oh, this looks
hopefully
awesome.
Eric can find a trailer floating around for it. Europa.
Yeah,
The trailer had very low views. I was surprised because it looks pretty good.
Well, the thing is, nobody's ever heard of it. Like, they probably don't have any PR or marketing or whatever, which is a shame. Because what I've played of this game so far, and I have played several hours, this game's really
Turning this into a for sure.
Cool, good. For a Switch game, like it looks beautiful in the first place.
Yeah,
and it's cool. Like there is no story. Like the game starts with all of a sudden, basically the world just kind of comes apart and everything's floating in the sky. But you can't jump. You can't do anything at first. You can just walk. But when you reach like a curve in like whatever structure you're walking on, then like gravity shifts with it, and that's kind of the Super Mario Galaxy element. So the puzzle is just like in like trying to like get around the world. Like how do you get from point A to point B when you can't jump, you can't attack, you can't do anything, you just walk.
I like that.
Yeah, it's really good. And as you progress, the big crazy twist turns out you actually can unlock some of these extremely basic things like jumping. But I had to play this game for so many hours that the last thing I did was finally unlock jumping. And because I'd played so many hours with no jumping, it felt like this total revelation. I was like,
really funny.
I can jump now? Like, this changes everything. Yeah, so,
dude,
We take for granted.
Sammy in the
Take
chat
for-
says that he's
Yeah.
played this, so I guess it must be out on PC then, I presume, unless it came out on Switch in the
Ooh,
last
maybe I
couple
should
days.
play it
and I
on my
missed that,
brand
but
new Steam Deck.
there
It'd
you
probably
go.
look better on it.
So, but
When-
bottom line,
when
wherever
does
it
it-
happens to be available, I'd heartily recommend you check it out. It's I'm having a lot of fun with it. I'm not done with it yet, but it's a lot of fun, and I'm super impressed with a game that
Yeah.
came out of nowhere is this good.
Dude, I'm so
Yeah.
glad you brought that up because it was like, what, a week ago, Brett, or like maybe a week and a half ago. He goes, check this game out. And I just popped open the trailer and it immediately looked like something I would like. And we both talked about it that night and then I totally forgot about it.
Me too.
And yeah, I'm glad you just brought this
Yeah.
up because I'm absolutely going to start looking for that now.
Yeah, I'll
Oh,
have
okay.
to play
I
it.
just looked it up. Okay, so I guess it came to Steam like way back in 2018.
Yeah, so
Oh,
Now
okay,
it's coming
wow.
to Switch. Yeah.
But
Well-
when is it coming out on Switch?
It's out.
Oh, it's already out.
Is it out now?
Well, I don't
think
know.
It comes out in
maybe.
a couple days, I think.
Oh yeah, it's actually October, I think.
Damn,
October 4th. or something?
Switch
It's not
announcement
even on their
trailer for it
website.
was-
Go to your email to find it.
The Switch
is-
announcement trailer for it was in 2019.
Yeah,
Really?
it's been talked about for a
Huh.
while. Yeah, I had just not heard about it until last week, which is crazy.
October
okay.
6th.
Yeah, and you can pre-order it starting the 29th.
Oh wait,
Thursday.
is the review embargo lifted, John?
Well, there it says if it's I will read you the exact phrasing. If at all possible, please
Oh.
post your review between September 29th and October 6th.
Yeah,
so it's
that's
just kind of
weird
like
phrasing.
loosey-goosey whatever.
Yeah.
And this has been Spot Dodge.
Yeah.
Live
Man,
Nintendo
these people need
podcast.
all the marketing they can get. If this game came out in
Definitely.
2018,
You know
we
what?
have no idea
They're
what it
lucky
is.
they sent us an email because I have a feeling we're gonna be talking about this game every episode for the next month now.
It's really
But,
fun.
I'm 100% playing that this weekend.
I think I got 2 codes
you have a
for it,
code.
so Greg and Mary can fight over who gets the other one.
There you go.
In the initial trailer, it reminded me now, but I'm seeing more of it. It doesn't look like it, but initially, it reminded me a little bit of that game Omno on Xbox. That's an indie. But
Okay.
now that I'm seeing more gameplay, it doesn't look much like that at all. But somewhat.
So you guys remember earlier
Yeah, I
when
know
I
what
was like, all my emails from Brett Nintendo Enthusiast, Brett EG, and Brett Destructoid all go to one spot. They literally sent me a review code to all 3 of those emails. So I have 3 codes.
Oh,
Damn.
that's
Are they
awesome.
all different though? Because I got 2 differently addressed emails, and I think they both have the same code, which is weird.
Oh,
Yeah.
actually, John, we probably both got one from Tips. Nintendo
Yeah.
Enthusiast Tips is where I
Yeah.
got one.
Just
Yeah.
the tips.
Just the tips.
Well, all I know is I redeemed it, so sorry if
Well, I'm
nobody
using
else
one.
can have it. Okay.
But yeah, we're gonna have to keep on talking about this game, try to shed some light
Yeah.
on it.
Yeah.
I wonder how popular it is on Steam. It might have thousands of reviews. We don't even know.
On the
Now
trailer,
it
I
has
saw
like
it was like
200.
on the trailer, I
207
saw
right
it was
now.
like it had gotten like at like 9s and 10s on the trailer. Now I know they show like the best reviews they've gotten. I'm curious to see what its Metacritic looks
I
like.
mean, the German version of it, or Greek.
A 10 out of 10 from Carl down the street.
An 8 critic. So that's
Harsh
not
critic,
80 and then
Carl.
a 76.
Greg, let's hop
User.
on to you. You're playing Yakuza Zero. This is a Yakuza podcast now. Jesus Christ. Yakuza
Yeah.
Zero and Apex Legends. Tell us
playing.
all about them.
Yeah, like I was very surprised, like how much Yakuza Zero got me, like just interested, involved, like
Quit.
going with the story. Looking at the the characters, like really enjoying the character models, the face animations. Like I don't know. It's funny that I can always like pick out a Sega game though, like just ever since something like just from their like earlier characters and facial animations and models and stuff, like Shenmue, like it still kind of resembles that to me, at least just from the walking around the world and stuff. But no, I was very surprised, like just the amount of of like curiosity I had playing it, and like, you guys talked about it, especially John, so much that I was like, oh, maybe it's about damn time that I played. So I was so glad it was on Game Pass, not only Game Pass but Game Pass Ultimate. So I downloaded it on PC, and I also have it on my Series S. So I'll like play it at my desktop, and then I'll like lay in bed.
Instant
And
cloud saves, Brett. There's my
yes.
second shout out to Xbox Game Pass.
But like,
I told you it
man,
wouldn't be his last.
there hasn't been a game in a long time that I've like actually got to lay in bed or lay on the couch and just like veg out and play and enjoy it for what it was. And I'm having fun, going around the city, beating up people and the Men in Black, and intervening in robberies, and going to the arcade and using the claw machine to try to get each one of the stuffed animals in there, or playing Space Harrier, or what's the Mr. Shakedown, trying to whip his ass to get all my money back, and and singing karaoke. And it's like, it's crazy to like name off all these things, and like, because I was looking at the map and I was like, man, like, what do I do now? Like, maybe I should go check out some of these places. And it's just surprising to me that I've experienced so much of it in such a small area. And like, even just the interactions from, walking down the street that other people are having, and then all of a sudden I'm finding some drunkards, or I'm giving, some punk guys some advice on how to be more hardcore in their band. And it's just like, and then like all of a sudden I'm back and I'm learning, the Yakuza hierarchy of lieutenants and captains, and what is the main character's role in all of it. And so, I'm having a good time. It's definitely a warranted and much needed break from playing, competitive games all the time, because you're constantly getting frustrated, or, there's lots of ups and downs with, winning a game of Apex and then, doing complete shit for the next, 10 matches. So, I feel like it's a good balance, with that. But I also did play the, Modern Warfare 2 open beta this weekend. Had a lot of fun with that. First Modern Warfare or Call of Duty game that I played specifically dedicated to mouse and keyboard, and what a fucking different experience that was. And it's almost a different experience of playing a Call of Duty game altogether. Being able to whip around and do a 180 in like one little mouse swipe. But there's also a lot of other people in my lobbies that were just as good, but I still managed to do pretty damn well. I had, I think, a positive KD, and I might actually pre-order and or buy it when it comes out. So I don't know. I had a good experience, and I didn't really have any performance issues. Only a couple noticeable in game, like the kill cam kept was like flickering, and it would like not, it was like a strobe light was going off. But overall performance wise, I mean, it did pretty damn well. So,
and the next Call of Duty after this one will be day one on Game Pass.
That's right. Never have to buy it again. Even though I never bought them, my friend buys them, and I game share with him. So yeah, I did play the beta as well, and it made me realize after playing Halo Infinite every night for the past like 3 months, Call of Duty is so fast. Like it's too fast. I can't even handle how fast it is.
I would say it's
like,
slow.
No, it's way too fast.
In comparison to Apex, yes, it's.
I don't play Apex,
slower.
But compared to Halo Infinite, it's like everything is way faster. And I'm just like, Jesus Christ, how are these people this good? I feel like actually good when I play Halo Infinite because everyone's like the same speed. And Call of Duty, people are freaking flying around, spinning around at 100 miles an hour.
Often
I'm just like, how's this possible? Like, how your eyes even comprehend what's happening right now? But also my eyes aren't used to like the environments in Call of Duty are way more busy. Halo, they keep it very simple, so you can pretty much see anyone from like a distance, no matter like where they're at. But Call of Duty, there's a lot going on. But it was a fun beta, and I'm gonna play the full game because, well, Brett pre-ordered it on PS5, so I'm gonna have it on PS5. and then my friend pre-ordered it on Series X, so I'm gonna have it on Series X as well. So I can't wait for the campaign. That's exciting for me. And then who's last? Oh wait, is it me now? No, it's Brett. Brett Larson playing, of course, Yakuza. But this one is Like a Dragon. How you like it?
Dragon. This has been Spot Dodge. Now it will be a live Yakuza podcast.
Yep. Yeah.
No, man. It's funny. I can see John going like, yes. He's convinced every one of us to take a dip in the Yakuza world. I mean, even you, Brett, you're like off and on playing Zero. One, right? I think we talked about this. The only one who's not playing one is Mary.
Yeah.
We're gonna have to change that, Mary.
I downloaded.
Need to change that.
I downloaded 2 of them.
Zero and
which ones?
Like a Dragon.
I downloaded Zero and Like a Dragon.
Awesome.
The 2 everyone like. I gotta start with one of these.
So I was always intrigued by the Judgment games. Part of that is because I've always been interested in like murder mystery, detective stuff. Even going back to a kid, I've always liked that. So that always interested me, but I was kind of like hesitant to get into them because of that's just not my kind of game outside of the murder mystery part of it. And then coming on this podcast, I heard John talk about it a lot. And so I have another friend who's really big into the Yakuza games as well and kept saying, dude, Like a Dragon is one of the best experiences I've ever had, this, and this. So I finally sat there and it was like late one night. I finished the game and I was like, you know what? It's free on PS Plus. I'm playing my PlayStation right now. I'm just going to download and play it and tried it. And I was so shocked, just like Greg said. I never would have thought I would find myself enjoying the game this much. And like this isn't my style of game. I'm not into JRPG stuff. But dude, it's something about it. Like it's hard to explain if someone hasn't played a Yakuza game. Like there's something about it that it's like this perfect blend of corny, cheesy drama, and like it just works. Because what other game can you walk into a room with men in diapers on their backs holding a baby bottle and then fight them, and then it's like, okay, well, there's just another day in Yakuza, like no big deal, you know? And then go out to the street and fight a guy who has a freaking a dumpster bag over him, like a garbage bag over him as his clothes.
Yeah.
And then I sent John a screenshot the other night. I was like, nothing to see here, just a naked man on the street covered in bubbles. The most random. Yeah, he knew. But it's the most random shit. But like at the same time, like it happens. It's just so brilliant about how it reels you into the story too. Like it's like an intriguing story. Like going beyond all the nonsense. It's so good. Like the drama of it and the crime part of it, and it's just so damn good. And man, I'm glad I started it. And I hit a wall where last month I stopped because I got to a point where I wasn't having struggles at all with the difficulty, and I got to a point where I started struggling. And I was like, man, I know I'm going to have to grind. And that's part of the reason that I don't love these games is I don't love grinding. But I took a break and I did some soul searching, and I decided to come back. And I got some tips from John where to go to do some grinding, and leveled up and got past that part. And the last 2 nights I've been back on the Yakuza train. So yeah, I'm excited. I'm gonna tear into it this weekend. I'm on chapter 10 of 15. So if I really dig down, I can beat it this weekend.
We completed JRPG. Crazy.
Awesome, man.
Yep.
Well, yeah. And then me, last up, I played all the way through Deathloop. That finally came out of its beta period on PS5, and now it's officially launched on Xbox, the full version of the game. That's the gold edition with the extended ending. The official version, the final version of the game, has launched on Game Pass. No, I'm just kidding. But yeah, I finally played through it. I did start it on PS5 back whenever it came out because Brett got it, and I was like, Brett, don't do it. Don't waste your money. It's not our type of game. It's like a roguelike or whatever. Barely played it just like I did because I hopped in and I'm like, well, I died and I lost everything, so I'm never playing this again. But then it came to Game Pass, and I was just intrigued again. Like I was intrigued the first time on PS5, but I just stopped. But I was like, you know what? Let me give this a little more of a chance because it was on like the home screen with like the new like Game Pass releases. So I downloaded it, started it, got further this time, and then I ended up playing like a few hours. And then I realized nobody really stressed that, yes, it's kind of like a roguelite or however you say it in the beginning, but sooner or later you get to like keep all of your stuff. Like you do this thing called, I forgot what it's called. I don't remember what it's called, but it's like an ability where you can save something forever. So if you unlock a double jump, you could use this ability, you have it forever. No matter how many times you die, you will forever have a double jump. You can do that with literally every ability and gun in the game. So after you do it, after you get what you like, you're done. Like if you die, oh well, like you don't really suffer any consequences. You have everything. So I was like, oh, so this is just like a normal story game. Like it's not like this massive. It's not Returnal like I thought it was when I played it originally. Returnal, like if you die 3-4 hours in, you lose everything forever. You might keep like an ability that's like not really that like consequential, but you lose everything. And I hated Returnal for that because it's just not my style of game. I get why people like it. Well, not really, but people like it, and I just didn't like it. This is just totally different. It's structured really weird. There's like 3 days. I mean, there's one day, 3 or 4 different time periods during that day. The main story is you have to figure out how to kill 7 people all within one day. So basically, you'll go through a whole day, you'll kill that person, and then you'll realize, okay, so they're here. I gotta remember that, and then you'll go through another day, kill another person. You'll see that they're there, but then it's like, oh, but I can't kill them there because I'm gonna be here during that time. So how am I gonna get them to be in the same spot? Like, and then that's when the story stuff comes in, where it's like you have to convince another character to invite someone to their party so that multiple characters are in the same spot, so you can kill them all at the same time of the day. Anyway, none of this was explained to me a year ago when people were talking about this game. I really like that idea. The fact that the story is you have to kill 7 people within one day. I find that really interesting and like really cool. And then it's up to you. Like you choose what time it is. You choose to reset the day. And after you get all the items and guns you like, there's nothing to worry about if you die or if you have to restart the day because you keep everything. But I'm making it sound more like choice based or like more open than it actually is though. Like it's all very limited and scripted and like linear with all the story stuff. Like you're following a set path. You're not really figuring out how to get them in one spot. The story's just sort of doing that for you. So that was a complaint from a friend of mine who actually completed the game like a year ago. But it didn't really bother me. The story, I thought it had so much potential. Like these characters, this dynamic. At the end of the day, I don't understand a lot of it, but it was also cool at the same time. Like it was okay, but it definitely had way more potential than what it was. So yeah, I played all the way through Deathloop in 2 days, and then I played more Xenoblade Chronicles. I haven't gotten to play as much as I wanted because when I play this game, I really try to get in like a headspace and like with all like quiet around me, no kids awake. And when I do that, I'm usually really tired, so it's like, I don't feel like playing now. Like, it's a good time to play it, but I want to go to sleep. So I haven't been playing as much as I wanted, but I've messaged John a little bit over the past 2 weeks now since I missed an episode. And the game is just so good. Like, the story is so different and interesting. And I finally got context as to why they didn't mind seeing each other naked in the beginning.
Spoilers!
The big thing that was weighing on your mind all this time.
Exactly. I was like, what is the dynamic here? Like, are they like? I just didn't understand, but now it all makes sense. Like, and John knew back when we talked about it, but he couldn't say anything. Yeah. But like, what's funny is like that whole element was a very good and special part of the game when you start to realize all this. I won't spoil anything because I think Mary will probably play through it sooner or later. Yeah. So the story and characters in Xenoblade Chronicles is like what every JRPG should strive to be, which is making a very endearing group of characters and then a very intriguing main plot and just an overall fun world to be in. So I'm still really loving it, even though I haven't found that much time to play it because I've been playing all these shorter games. My big mistake was playing through 4 JRPGs right before Xenoblade Chronicles. Because it's like I'm not really in the mood to play it, but when I do play it, I'm like, oh my god, why wasn't I playing this? And then lastly is 2 games I haven't beat, but I've started, and I'm definitely gonna probably beat both of them. Shovel Knight Dig came out. I got a Switch code, but I also noticed that it was day 1 on Apple Arcade. So I downloaded it on Apple Arcade and played through the first level, and it's actually really fun. Like, it's really gorgeous pixel art. It is kind of like a roguelite, but you can beat the full game that I've seen on YouTube in like an hour and a half, and then you have like reasons to go back and replay it again, like get better loot, better upgrades, that kind of stuff. But I played through 2. Well, I beat 1 boss, and I was like halfway through the second level, and then I stopped. But I'm probably gonna play through all of that. Really fun. And then Proteus is an Xbox Game Pass Day 1 game that I wouldn't have ever known about if I didn't see it on the home screen. This is like it's like a Doom game. It kind of reminds me of Doom 64, but the art style is absolutely amazing. It's just stunning, like jaw-dropping.
It looks cool.
They use like this classic. I don't know if Eric has it on the screen right now. Let me look. No, he doesn't. Proteus is the name of the game, Eric. But they use like this art style that like combines classic Doom, like corridor walking through, like close up camera, you're shooting your guns, but then it has like such beautiful effects, like when you kill the monsters, and just like so much going on screen. It's just really beautiful. And what's funny is the game is actually running at like, I think it's like 310p, like the resolution. In the settings, you can set it like that's the default, like 310p. And it looks like it's supposed to be in that resolution when you're playing it. And honestly, it makes the graphics look better. Somehow, like it just matches perfectly. And then you can choose to make it native, which I'm assuming is like 4K or 1440p, and it just doesn't have that same charm to it. So I turned it back down to the default. I'm like, this is better. This is great.
Nice.
So yeah, I recommend Proteus on Game Pass. And that pretty much brings us to the end of our show. Sorry, I had to go on a 4-game rant right there at the very end. So yeah, this has been Spot Dodge. Any final thoughts from anyone? Brett, anything on your mind?
I was going to say, I played the Modern Warfare 2 beta as well. I didn't get to mention that as what I've been playing. I've enjoyed it as well, man. Like you mentioned, I already pre-ordered it. I knew I was going to. I always buy the Call of Duty games, even though I don't spend much time with them in the last 4 or 5 iterations. For some reason, I keep doing it. Part of it's for my son, but no, I enjoyed it. So I can see myself actually putting a decent amount of time into it.
Yeah, I'm just really excited for that campaign. I think it's going to be really good. I really love Infinity Wars campaigns.
It is odd how they staggered the release of the game. The first week is just the campaign, and then the multiplayer the next week, and then a week later is Warzone 2. I can see the multiplayer in Warzone like staggering, but that is weird. The first week is going to be
technically it's a pre-order
people are just going to
bonus. So
that's right. That's right. You have to pre-order it to get that first week.
But I mean, the game basically comes out on that day, like the campaign at least.
Gotcha.
I think it's really smart though, because everyone's gonna be talking about Call of Duty for like a month straight. Like they're gonna be talking about the campaign, which I'm assuming is gonna be really good. This is Infinity Ward. They do the best ones in my opinion. And that's a week of the campaign reaction, and then the multiplayer starts. That's gonna be a pretty big deal. A lot of people are gonna be hopping in, and then I think it's 2 weeks later they drop Warzone 2, which is gonna be massive. So yeah, like a whole month of Call of Duty basically. Mary, any final thoughts?
Just want to know what Chris Pratt's Mario is going to sound like. That's all I'm thinking about ever since we had that discussion. I'm just like, I need to know.
What if he's just like his normal voice? Would that do it for you?
No.
Hey, what's up, guys? I'm Mario.
God, Mario Pratt here.
It's like I'm Super Mario.
All right, guys. This has been a great episode of Spot Dodge. If you made it this far, please leave us a thumbs up on the YouTube video, or if you're listening over on podcast services, leave us a 5-star review, please. We've had 7 reviews for God knows how long. I'm like, how have we not gotten any more reviews yet? So if you're on Apple Podcasts, give us a 5-star, Spotify as well, and wherever else you're at, if you're listening on something random like SoundCloud or something weird. Guys, goodbye.
Bye-bye.